Welcome to Legislative Updates. I'm your host, Doug Thompson, with my co-host, John Barker. As you're watching this on your screen, John's on your left, and in between, in the middle, is Patrick Penn from the 85th District out of Wichita. Patrick, welcome, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And, of course, Patrick is a retired captain, retired military. We'll get to talking to him here in just a little bit about his family and Wichita and how you're doing, because this is your first term in the legislature.
Yes,
this
sir.
is John's fifth term in the legislature. And this is Friday. You guys know the premise. What happens is that when the legislature ends for the day on Friday, John comes on, John Barker from 70th District comes on in and gives us an update of what happened this week, and that way we can stay current with everything that's going on. He always brings in special guests, and he has today. So, John, where are we going?
Week 6. This is week 6, and it feels like we've been there 6 months. It's been busy. First of the week, of course, we had really cold weather. One morning I got up, it was 14 below zero. Yeah. Fortunately, my vehicle started, but we went in and we continued to work. The legislature did, in committee and on the floor of the House. We passed 19 bills on the floor of the House, and at some segment we'll probably talk about some of those bills. The governor did introduce a new bill in unemployment, which she just doesn't learn. Every year she's introduced this. This is the KPRS refinancing. The board of directors has turned her down. She's coming to the legislature. She came to the legislature last year and the year before, trying to get a couple of $100 million up front and then pay it over 15 years. And it's going to run about $7 billion, because we've got to pay 7.75% interest, because that's the assumed rate that the Board of Directors has set it at. So under federal law, we cannot pay less than that. And so she's trying that again. I don't think it will be successful. You know, we've done a good job with KPRS. I was on KPRS back in 2013, KPRS committee, and we were funded about 57%. We've worked on that, and we've got it up to about 70%. We still have an unfunded actuarial, but at 70%, if we can get it up to 85%, it'll be considered fully funded. So we don't want to kick that can down the road another 15 years. We want to be able to make our payments as required and not take any money out of it. And to get its short-term success, she's going to get $200 or $300 million up front this year, and then when you finance it over 15 years, it's just giving our children and our grandchildren a debt that they cannot pay. So that's one of the things. One good thing we did do, we passed a bill, first-time home buyers. We want to encourage young people to stay in the state of Kansas when they finish college or finish high school. So it works like a 529 college plan, like you're saving for your college, for your kids for college, but they will be able to save tax-free from state taxes and to get an amount of $48,000. They can put in about $3,000 to $6,000 annual limits, $24,000 individually, or $48,000 for a couple. But it is, they can put that money away tax-free from state taxes, and it will help them when they're ready to buy their first home. Much like, and other members of the family can contribute into that to get to the limit. Grandparents or parents want to be able to give them some money to buy a future home. They can put some money in there. So that's a good thing. We also had, go back to unemployment again. The Department of Labor is still not working at all. I get a number of emails every week from folks that cannot contact anybody at Department of Labor. We have House Bill 2196, and it's to modernize and provide some oversight of the governor's failing Department of Labor. I think it has legs. I think it will go somewhere. Because we want the Department of Labor to be successful. We want folks that are legitimately entitled to unemployment to get their unemployment. We want to stop the fraud. As we've talked before, Doug, 73% of the hits on the Department of Labor now are fraudulent. Fraud.
Horrible.
And we spend a lot of money. We've paid out a lot of money that we will never get back on fraud claims. So we've really got to work in that area. But the home time, I thought the first-time home buyers and the capers was information that my constituents can use. There's another number of other things we can talk about. The Fed and state passed out a few bills today. We passed out an infectious disease bill. I read the committee report turned in today, which will help law enforcement, EMS, first responders, firemen, if they should get exposed to COVID-19. So we hope to have that on the floor next week. But other than that, we've been busy.
You got a lot on the plate going there, John. Patrick, you having fun now just watching us talk about this so far?
Yes, sir.
When we come back from break, well, you're going to be carrying the ball for a while. So we'll cut away, take a break. You're watching Legislative Updates. Welcome back to Legislative Updates. I'm your host, Doug Thompson, with my co-host, John Barker. That's John on your left as you're viewing the screen. In between is Patrick Penn from the 85th District out of Wichita.
Yes, sir.
And this is Friday, so Patrick and John just got out of the legislature not too long ago. Stopped by here to bring us all of the current information. So Patrick, I know this is first term for you, but tell me a little about Patrick.
Well, thank you, Doug, for having me on here, and Judge Barker as well. This has been quite a thrill of a ride as a first foray into politics, and the first term that I've served in the legislature for the House 85th District. I came up in foster care in northern Florida and Georgia, and went into the military out of high school. So after I did 20 years in the Army, well, let me break that up just a little bit. I started out actually having a job, as we say. I was enlisted. So I did time as an enlistee, reached the rank of sergeant, and I was in the JAG Corps. So I do recall, Judge Barker, you were CID yourself. So whenever he would do his investigations, we'd have to clean him up on the JAG side.
That's true.
But then I went to Officer Candidate School. We call it OCS, and I matriculated over into the Signal Corps communications. So if you think Verizon, satellite dishes, telecommunication lines, and telephones and end devices, all that was my wheelhouse, if you will.
Oh, so. Okay. And then you retired after 20.
I did, sir. I retired after 20 down at Fort Hood, Texas, where I was in the 1st Cavalry Division headquarters as the G6 Network Operations Officer. Retired after 20 years and moved up to Wichita, Kansas to take a job with Textron Aviation Defense. So still helping out the warfighter. Had a great time.
And you're married?
Sir, I am. Beautiful wife, Talia, of over 12 years, and we have 4 beautiful children, 2 boys and 2 girls. And everybody's healthy, happy, and enjoying this run.
And you're a representative for, the 85th District?
Yes, sir.
And where is that within the Wichita area?
Yes, sir. Northeast Wichita, as well as the township of Benton over in Butler County. So I straddle 2 Senate districts, Senator Renee Erickson in the 30th, and Ty Masterson as well, the Senate President.
Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Pleasure's mine.
Thank you for taking time, and thanks for sharing. So,
yes, sir.
What are you finding out here with the legislature? Because this would be all new ground for somebody like me that went in and started plowing this ground. What do you see?
Doug, I am seeing some amazing work being done. You just heard the judge recapturing a little bit of what we've done this week alone. You're drinking from a fire hose up there as a first-time legislator. You see a lot happening, and I think the biggest thing that I am excited about is not only the amount of good work that we're getting done, but the team that surrounds you to accomplish that mission. For me in the military, that teamwork, that mission focus, that's something that's very important. So when I see it happening up there and to get to be a part of it, it's an extreme honor.
Well, I would agree with you. Teamwork is so important.
Yes, sir.
What committees are you on?
Oh, I'm on Judge Barker's Fed and State Committee,
okay.
So Federal State Affairs, as well as K through 12 education budget and children and seniors.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
excellent.
Yes,
Good. He's one of our stars, Doug.
You've told me that for a number of weeks, yeah.
From freshmen, every year I kind of look at different freshmen and think, okay, who's going to be a star? Chris Croft, who I had a year ago, is now chairman of redistricting. After this term, I would, if Patrick chooses to come back, I expect him to be in some type of a leadership position. He has leadership skills, and I've told him that. He's an asset to me on Fed and State, but we have nothing but good things to say about him. And then Black History Month. I think you made a couple of comments on the Republican Party.
Yes, sir.
Want to mention those?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. This is Black History Month, the February here that we're in, and we had the opportunity last night to host a Zoom conference call with Chairman Mike Kuckelman of the Kansas GOP and his team. They held a panel, and I got an opportunity to moderate that right in front of the Brown versus Topeka mural up at the state capitol. So a lot of history and a lot of good people have been, tilling in the fields and working that. And I just think that for me personally, as a Black Republican and as a Black conservative, the GOP, our principles, our LIFT principles, are the things exactly that are needed at this time in the Black community to make sure that we have access to educational freedom and choice, employment opportunities and more jobs, low taxes, as well as economic development, and just having the opportunity to own a piece of America, as you just heard the judge talk about in the last segment.
Yeah.
That's quite amazing.
It is. It is. He is going to be a leader. He is a leader. I think you're the co-chair of the freshmen.
Yes, sir. We were elected to be nominated and elected to be the chairman of the freshman caucus. So we got that unanimously, and I was approached to have a co-chair, and so I said, yeah, let's make that happen as well, because again, I believe in the power of the team. I have an excellent chairman in Fed and State and vice chair, Ms. Tori Marie Arberger, and I just couldn't be happier. So we're doing all the work that we can with as many people and lend into the fight.
Well, that's tremendous.
Yes,
I
sir.
always ask this one of people when I get a chance, as we talk about, just life, and I'll say, Patrick, who was it? Who reached out the hand and took you at different times in your life? Who was it? Was it a grandfather? Was it a father? A friend? Who was it? Because I know with the military, where you would have had hands, that would have extended down.
Yes,
because obviously you started as an enlisted and went on and wound up as an officer and working in JAG. That's tremendous.
Yes, sir. My heroes and the mentors that I had, obviously my uncle who took us in foster care, he was a pastor and gave me my bedrock values in the Christian faith. Looking at his example of integrity and honor, those types of things that you learn from the military, you have an array of officers and NCOs who are over you, and you learn that skill set like the judge was talking about, and you hone that. But then going forward, you meet different people out in the community, business leaders, and here in the House, I've had the pleasure not only of serving under the mentorship of the judge, but also Speaker Reichman and Majority Leader Hawkins. They've deposited a tremendous amount into me as well.
And I appreciate that. And it's nice to know your uncle. And it's obvious from talking to you that he was a man of the Lord.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. God
We're going to
bless.
cut away, take a break. You're watching Legislative Updates. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Legislative Updates. I'm Doug Thompson with my co-host John Barker, and this handsome guy in between us is Patrick Penn from the 85th District out of Wichita. He's working on his first term in the legislature, and John Barker, of course, is the 70th District, and this is his fifth term in the legislature, and this is Friday, so we're visiting about what's happened this week, and man, every week is just a load for you guys. So John, what else have you got?
Well, on Fed and State this week, we've heard a couple of bills. One of the more important bills is the sports betting bill that most states have passed based upon a 2018 United States Supreme Court decision, which said Nevada did not have it was the only state that could have sportsbook betting. It's based upon a lawsuit out of New Jersey and Maryland, but went all the way up to the Supreme Court. So we've worked on it a couple of years. We did have a hearing on it Wednesday and Thursday of this week, had a number of proponents, and then on Thursday we had the opponents. Most of the opponents that testified were with the American Humane Society and similar organizations. I didn't understand why they were testifying, because there's not any dog or horse racing in the state of Kansas, but they wanted a permanent bar. Well, one legislature cannot bind a future legislature. Every 2 years we get a new legislature, and so you can't do that. But other than that, we've heard a couple of bills involving alcohol, and then we did pass out the bill I talked about last week, the infectious diseases, so that was good. Next week we've got we're doing Smoking 21, just adopting the federal law that was passed last year in the appropriations bill at the United States Congress, and President Trump signed. So we're just adopting those regulations because presently, under federal law, you can't smoke unless you're 21 on a federal reservation. But the reason the state would adopt it is because there's some incentives there and some additional money to help curb smoking. So we think that's a good bill. On Tuesday, I have I'm going to schedule to work a few bills that we've heard in the past. Also, I've got the lottery director coming in for a question and answer period about sportsbook and what revenues that are projected. There is another bill that's in the Senate, and I personally think the tax on it is too low. We have a higher tax in the House version. I did a comparison between the House bill and the Senate bill to the committee, and with a list of all the different states who have it and what the percentages are of the state's tax. So it's going to be interesting. The Senate may run their bill next week. So next week we have we have medical marijuana. Found one thing interesting yesterday. We had heard a pharmacy bill down on the Committee on the Health and Human Services. So I came to my office and I had 3 pharmacists waiting for me. And I thought they wanted to talk about the pharmacy bill. They did not. They wanted to talk about marijuana, medical marijuana. I was surprised that they told me that 13 states allow pharmacists where it's non-smokable. It's the edibles, the pill forms and salves, that it's handled by the pharmacies. And I was unaware of that.
I wouldn't have known that either.
And so the board of pharmacy board may come in next week and testify as a neutral, but as they indicated to me yesterday, if it's medical, then we can handle it. And they have presently in their refrigerators, what they were telling me, synthetic THC, because it's used for children with seizures, and it has a medical purpose. So I welcome them to come in next Thursday as a neutral to give us their testimony. And I've got my research people now exploring how the other states were able to do that. So that's been interesting. We've got a few other bills that we'll be working. Turnaround is next Friday. Means all the bills in non-exempt committees must be out of those committees, because the following week we will go on the floor and debate those bills. And if they're not passed by then if they come from a non-exempt committee, they get dropped off.
Done for the session.
Done for the session, and we can only take up exempt bills and then Senate bills. So if they get them passed next week or the week after, then they will go to the Senate to work. But we'll close down for 3 days while the clerks of the Senate and the House exchange bills and get them what we call cross the hall.
Okay.
And then we'll come back, and most of the non-exempt committees will be working Senate bills that the Senate has passed, and they will be working House bills. When I was chairman of Judiciary, that was a big concern. You wanted to get all your bills out. As chairman of Fed and State, because we are a exempt committee, we don't have to worry about that. We can work bills up to the last day.
I see.
So, yeah. And Patrick, what's your impression of Fed and State?
Well, I tell you, Chairman Barker, honestly, I like it. It's I was told that turnaround is the controversial period, Doug, and it's kind of amazing to me because we started off with value them both. That's why I wear the baby feet up here. I was very pleased and happy to have the ability to both hear the proponents and opponents of that, vote on that very consequential piece of legislation, and get it out to the full floor for so many others to have an opportunity to weigh in on it. So kudos to you, Chairman.
And that will probably be, and I think it will be the most important piece of legislation you will have voted on in your entire career if you stay here 10 or 20 years.
Yes, sir. Yes,
It
sir.
Wow.
is that important.
Yes, sir.
Wow. All right, we're going to
Okay.
cut away, take a break. You're watching Legislative Update. Welcome back to the final segment of Legislative Updates. And I'm Doug Thompson with my co-host John Barker, and in the middle, in between us, is Patrick Penn from the 85th District out of Wichita.
Yes, sir.
First term that he's been in, and while we were on break, you were telling me that you carried through your first bill. Well, what's that mean? And you told me that you got up in front of all of them and introduced the bill, explained to it, answered questions, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
And did all of those things. You're having a lot of fun at the legislature,
I
aren't you?
am, and I think they had a lot of fun hazing me as well.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
I suppose that all comes with it, but
The first bill you
very
get
first bill, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
like John said, you'll remember that one forever.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week on Legislative Updates.